welcome back to the Lemon Perspective, where you get to see a little bit of the world from my perspective. Today we're talking books. I made a cup of tea. I just thought I'd sit here and tell you a little bit about the books that I read in 2020. It is now 2021. I kind of went from 0 to 100 last year, and I challenged myself to read 50 books in the year. Beginning of 2020, I set out and said I'm going to read 50 books this year, and I did just that. I actually read 68 by the end of last year. I think that included some audiobooks though. I don't know about you, but I don't really count audiobooks as reading. That might get me some backlash. But anyway, I also switched from Goodreads to the storygraph towards the end of last year. I saw it on the Viet Vegan. She had been doing a bunch of reading and she was using Goodreads and she switched to the storygraph. I'm pretty sure it is a BIPOC owned book reviewing slash book documenting website. I don't think they have an app yet. I hope they make an app soon because everything is on their website right now. And I'm pretty sure it's just a beta. So I'm not even sure if it's really out yet, but you can follow me on the storygraph. I'm the Lemon Perspective or Lemon Perspective. I think I'm just Lemon Perspective on there. But anyway, all this to say, I thought I'd sit down, drink some tea, read through some of these that were real hits and real misses of last year, just to give you some ideas or some inspiration of books if you have potentially the same sort of interests as me. So we're just gonna start off at the beginning. Starting off strong, Midnight Sun, Stephanie Meyer. In one word, a disappointment. I was really anticipating this book. I actually set out at the beginning of 2020 to read all the Harry Potter novels, all the Twilight novels, because I had somehow escaped my youth and read neither of those. So I felt like Stephanie was fighting herself as she wrote the book. I couldn't get into it. If you had a different experience, I would love to know. Leave it down in the comments. Also in 2020, I decided to start reading all of the Lemony Snicket Unfortunate Events books and all of the C.S. Lewis Narnia books, because I also escaped my youth without having read any of those. So a lot of them on the storygraph right now are Lemony Snicket and C.S. Lewis books. So those are all fine. I mean, there's nothing spectacular about them. They're obviously very young children's novels. I do enjoy them. They're kind of a refresher after you've read like a 600 or 700 page novel to just sit down and in an hour read The Reptile Room. So I kind of liked it for those. I also started reading Philip Pullman's The Dark Materials. I'm pretty sure it's a trilogy, and I read the first one and really enjoyed it. Oh, one highlight that I did have, I read Yes Please by Amy Poehler. It's her biography or memoir, I guess. Really enjoyed it. I'm an Amy Poehler fan. I watch all of Parks and Rec, but I had never really delved into her life story or anything, but this was a really well-written memoir. It was funny. It was pretty heavy. Like, the book is significant weight. Like, it's a paperweight in and of itself. I don't know if it's the paper that they printed it on or the fact that it's kind of a thick novel, but heavy book. But it was good. I really enjoyed it, so I would recommend that. I also read my first thriller novel in 2020. I read Gone Girl, which I know it's like years and years old by now, but I did not jump on the train back in 2012. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Storygraph. It was one of those books that really drew me in and compelled me to sit down and read the whole thing within the weekend. Like I said, I read all the Stephanie Meyer Twilight sagas. Loved those. I'm just gonna throw it out there, loved those. I don't know why. I'm skipping over some of the ones that were just bleh novels. You can go through all of my novels on the Storygraph. So this one was kind of funny. I read the Call Me By Your Name duology, but I read them backwards. I read Find Me and then realized that Call Me By Your Name was the first novel of the duology. So if you're gonna read those, read them in order. I tried to make it a point of 2020 to read more LGBTQIA and BIPOC. I read a bunch of those novels that were circulating everywhere. I read White Fragility, I read The Hate You Give, I read That's How You Want to Talk About Race, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness, Want to Do More Than Survive, Abolitionist Teaching in the Pursuit of Educational Freedom, Me and White Supremacy. I think out of all of them, I rated Me and White Supremacy a 5-star. I rated the Abolitionist Teaching one a 4-star. That one is really applicable if you have any teachers or educators in your life. I'm personally a teacher. I'm an elementary and music teacher. I found that one very enlightening, and I liked the perspective that it took because it was aimed at an educator's like role model. So I really enjoyed that. I would recommend that if you have any educators in your life. The Hate You Give, I read as an audiobook. Very narrative, very story-like. It kind of gives you a different perspective rather than being very textbook. There's a kind of a refreshing change of pace from the other ones. Same with Get a Life, Chloe Brown, narrative, contemporary. The Harry Potter novels. If you have not read that series, like I hadn't, get yourself out from under that rock. Talking to you, read them. They develop so seamlessly, and they move and age with the reader in a way that I've never seen any other series. When I was little, I had a big divide in my house. So I have an older brother and older sister, and my older brother, and I have a younger brother, but he's not a part of the story. My older brother went the Lord of the Rings route, and he read the Lord of the Rings. My older sister went the Harry Potter route, and she read all the Harry Potters. And then when it got time for me to choose, I had to choose between, the Lord of the Rings fantasy world or the Harry Potter fantasy world. And I read the Lord of the Rings, and so I just kind of missed out on the Harry Potters. And pretty much my whole life, I had been telling myself, Laura, go back and read those books. They're probably good. But I never did. And so I finally did it this year. I read my first short story collection in 2020. Just another one of those refreshing change of paces once you've read novels that are like 600 or 700 pages long and you want something different. Pick up a short story collection. And it's incredible. I think short stories are some of the most intricately written stories because they have to compel you into buying into their world in such a short amount of time. I read Sally Rooney's Conversations with Friends and Normal People. I read Conversations with Friends thinking it was Normal People, but these were the two of the novels of hers that were really like on back order throughout most of 2020. I'm not really sure why they sprung up again. I don't know if they're making a movie out of them or what's happening. The Conversations with Friends is first published in 2017, so I'm not really sure why 2020 was the year of the Sally Rooney saturation. But I read Conversations with Friends. I liked it. Sally Rooney has her way of writing. She has a way of her typography and a way of her editing that is very much Rooney. You can tell when it's her novels, which I appreciate in authors now that I'm reading more than, 10 books a year. I love finding authors that I can tell it's them, and I find that I'm more attracted to books when I can hear the author through the novel. And so Sally Rooney is one of those artists or authors that you can tell when it's her novels. So what had happened was I got on Hulu and started watching Normal People, which is the series that Hulu has presented of the Sally Rooney novel. I watched that thinking I had read it. I was wrong. I had read Conversations with Friends, and so when I started watching Normal People, I was thinking to myself, where did I go wrong? How did I not understand these characters at all? Little did I know, I had not read Normal People. I had read Conversations with Friends. So I got 4 episodes in, thinking I was just really whack, and then realized, and then put Normal People on hold. And Normal People took so long to come into my library that I ended up finishing Normal People, the TV show, before picking up the book. Okay, I'm going to admit it. I watched the whole thing before I read it. I was so compelled by the cinematography, the filming, the characters, the sets, the everything about the TV show that I genuinely could not stop watching it. I regret nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I don't regret watching it before reading it. I think if anything, I fell in love with the characters even more after reading it, after watching it. So take that as you will. Highly recommend Normal People. I would recommend Normal People over Conversations with Friends. If Conversations with Friends is becoming a movie or a series, will somebody let me know, because I don't know why it just rebirthed in emergence. Also in 2020, I found Ocean Vuong. Tell me how to say that name. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. One of those novels that really sticks with you forever. The way that it's written is so compelling and so very much him that it's another one of those authors like Sally Rooney that you can tell who's written it. Oh, at the very beginning of last year, I read Every Note Played by Lisa Genova, about a man who's a pianist who develops ALS, and it's heartbreaking and emotional, and I highly recommend it, whether you know anything about concert pianists or not, or know anybody that has ALS or not. You should read it. It's incredible. I also read Mosquito Land by David Arnold. I also give that one a 5-star. That's a young adult. It's easy to read, also emotional, but nevertheless very intriguing and very easy to read. Oh, I read Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer by Jonathan Safran Foer. I think that's right. Beautiful. It is beautiful. It is contemporary. I think it's beautifully written. I think it's like, again, he's an author that you can tell when he's writing a story. And I've found that to be the most influential part of my reading that I've come across in 2020, is that I have now found authors that I want to follow, and that never before has happened to me. And because of Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, I have now followed him and read more of his novels in 2021 that maybe I wouldn't have come across had I not first read Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I'm not even sure how I came to find this novel. I did not know that it was a movie before I read it. I've never seen the movie. And it was published in 2005. So I don't know how I found it, but I did, and I'm glad I did, because I really, really, really enjoyed it. It's not only beautifully written, but the whole book is like a piece of art. The way that he kind of intertwines art pieces in his typography and graphics. Just pick it up and you'll know what I'm saying. Oh, I read one of those popular ones, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. It was completely fine. That's about the only reflection I have on it. Another highlight, I read Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I've come to realize that those kind of novels are some of my favorite kind of novels. The memoir, travel, nonfiction, adventurous kind of written novels. I always remember long after I've read them. I think it started with Into the Wild and reading about Chris McCandless, and that love of that sort of nonfiction memoir writing fell into my love for Wild. And then recently in 2021, I read Into Thin Air, also by Jon Krakauer, and loved it just as much as I love those other two novels. And I think that the more I find novels kind of like that, the more I love those kinds of novels. So if you have any others along those lines that you can recommend for me, I would love to hear from you. Okay, I promise I'm almost done here. It's been a long journey. I just looked at the clip that I filmed and it was 25 minutes long. So in order to save all of us from more of me talking, that will conclude my 2021 novels. I obviously didn't talk about every single novel. If you want to see every single novel I read last year, like I said, the storygraph, I am Lemon Perspective. I'll also leave a link down in the description box. I also have started my 2021 journey, and I think at the end of each month, I'll do a recap of the books that I had read that month to maybe give you a little bit more of an in-depth analysis. Because doing it this way, I have to go through 68 different novels, and I obviously can't touch on every single one. But I think if I did a monthly summary and kind of delved a little bit more deeply into each of the ones, or highlighted the ones that I really, really enjoyed from that month, might be a little bit more helpful to you. So if that sounds like a good idea, please let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have any books that you recommend I read, then let me know. Or if you want to start like a book club with me, that's cool. I don't have any friends, so that could be good. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and maybe got a little inspiration for novels that you might enjoy. Let me know what your storygraph is. We can follow each other. We can talk about books. It'll be fun. And more videos coming soon, more food videos, more low waste videos. If you have anything that you specifically want to see from me, also let me know that. and I hope you have an incredible day.